Hello and welcome to the Pointless Distractions Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Draper. With me,
Graham Bergeron.
And Scott Westerman.
all right, boys. Anything new this week? We've had a little time off. We didn't record last week, but we banked a few, and we recorded our Gula episode, which will be coming out next. So,
Yeah.
what's with you, Graham?
I've just been enjoying. Have either of you seen the videos of the Darth Vader AI that they added into Fortnite?
No.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Concerned.
So they added in, I guess it's like an AI companion that can join your team, and you can like talk to him throughout the match. And this Darth Vader just follows you, talks to you. It's James Earl Jones. Like, apparently they got the consent of his family and stuff. And it's supposed to, just be a normal AI that follows you around, talks to you and stuff. But very quickly, the internet learned how to break it. And you can get Darth Vader to say literally anything you want. Like, there are videos of him saying the N-word. There are videos of him asking what Skibbity Toilet is. Like literally anything you want Darth Vader to say, you can coax this AI into saying. And it's
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Scott, are your kids in a Skibbity Toilet?
No, they used to say Skibbity all the time, but that's past now. They never watched
Okay.
the show, as far as I know.
Sorry, going back to Graham, I just had to ask.
But I will say, my youngest has just gotten back into Fortnite because they've been doing all the Star Wars stuff. And I just had a note from Fortnite just a couple days ago to allow the turning on of the AI, and I'm not sure if I should have done that or not.
I imagine that they'll probably take it down within a day or two. Because it's only been live for like 2 days, and there's already hundreds of videos of Darth Vader saying the stupidest stuff.
Dad, Darth Vader just said cunt.
Well, then that you can catch your kids because it bounces off of what they're saying to him.
So if he starts saying some crazy stuff, you just beat your kids, right?
I don't know why anyone needs that. I don't even get it.
I don't either. I mean, they tried to do some like stuff with it, like if you talked about certain subjects like depression or anything, Darth Vader will tell you to like seek mental help and stuff.
Aww.
So like they added some things to make it not seem as like weird and gross and shitty. But it's weird and gross and shitty.
Yeah, it's not weird at all. I'm sure that was James Earl Jones' intentions when he sold his AI rights right before he died. Because I remember hearing about that he basically okayed that. I'm assuming so his family can make money off of it now that he's not with us.
Oh, I imagine they made so much money.
All right, Scott, anything new and cool going on with you?
I've been taking the opportunity to actually catch up on some movies. I don't know why, I just kind of got in a kick where I'd watch a couple movies a day and everything, so that was pretty cool. What have I watched? Trying to catch up on the Kevin Smith stuff I haven't seen, so I finally watched Yoga Hosers, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The beginning was painful. It was the girls doing a cover of Anthrax's I'm the Man, and it was just like the most cringeworthy thing I think I've ever seen. And then after that, the movie was fine.
I still haven't watched that. I can't bring myself to it.
Just skip the first 5 minutes and you'll be okay. I mean, it's dumb, but it's funny. It's got some good parts.
Was it better than Tusk?
Oh no, Tusk is an awesome movie.
I don't think I could. I've seen Yoga Hosers, and I don't know if I could say that it is better than anything.
How do you go from Chasing Amy to Yoga Hosers?
I don't know.
By the way, I've never seen Dogma, and I get catch a lot of shit for that.
What else? I finally watched Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. The first time I tried to watch that, I didn't make it through the first 5 minutes again. But again, as it went, as soon as my brain shut off, it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. What else did I watch here? Oh, finally watched Ex Machina. I didn't realize that movie's like 11 years old now. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I've never seen that one either.
It's pretty good.
I've seen a movie that you haven't.
Hey!
Like a good movie that you haven't?
Movie Court, coming soon.
Yeah, Movie Court Part 2. That actually reminds me, kind of along the lines of Movie Court, I've also been getting into these Gen Z reacts to music kind of things.
Oh, no.
and
Like those ones where it's like, I've never heard Bohemian Rhapsody, and they're
yeah,
like
exactly,
25 years
yeah,
old.
yeah. So I started watching this guy. I guess I can name him. It's his name's Isaac Brown. He lives in Pennsylvania, or not Pennsylvania, Indiana, and he's a younger guy. He says he's been a music producer for like 10 years, and his videos pretty much all started off with like K-pop stuff and everything, and Taylor Swift and all this. And I'm just like, why did this pop up on my feed? And then it was the very first one. He reacts to Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time, and I'm like, how has he never heard Bohemian Rhapsody? How have you
And,
survived
and
into your
he's a
mid to late
producer.
20s? Yeah, that's the thing I couldn't believe. And his dad was in the music industry too somehow. I think he was some kind of producer or something, and he also owned a like a hi-fi stereo installation company or
I guess it
something.
wasn't hooked up to the fucking radio if he hasn't heard that, but
Right.
yeah, I don't believe
So
any of those.
I know that was the thing because I was like, there's no way this guy's never heard this, but he's a really good actor if he's never heard these songs because he doesn't blink an eye when they come on, and it's so funny because he's like, first he got into Bohemian Rhapsody and he was like, okay, this song is crazy, and he's his whole thing now is to go back. He's like, I'm missing like 30, 40 years of music history here, so I'm gonna go try to catch up on this now. And it's awesome because if it's actually legit, I mean, this guy's just loving this. He's just like, I've never been exposed to all this music, and it's just, and it's really kind of cool just to watch him go through. But I was thinking of our movie court because I was like, there is no way you've never heard this song. Like, the next one I watched, I think he did "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd. I was like, how have you never heard this song before? Like, okay, so
So
he's
he's
like,
never watched movies either, I'm guessing.
I don't know, I really don't
Because
know,
that's, yeah,
but
wait
it's
till he
funny
hears the
because
Beatles.
I mean, he seems like a really cool, laid back guy, and he's got a really good ear for music as far as picking out, like individual instruments and things. I mean, you can tell he knows his stuff, and he plays a few instruments. He's always like, "What is that chord?" And he like stops the video and he tries to figure it out with his guitar and stuff. It's kind of funny. So the guy, I mean, he seems legit as far as being a music guy. But then after hearing "Comfortably Numb," he wanted to go into people have been suggesting things like, "Listen to this, listen to this, listen to this." So we did "Dark Side of the Moon." And of course, like anybody, the first time you hear that, like, what is going on? But he didn't even recognize any of the radio hits from that either. So, I'm sitting there watching the video, like, does he react to this at all? And it's like, no, no, no
Did he
recognition
see the
whatsoever.
album cover and be like, "Oh, that
Oh yeah,
looks
I knew
like
the album cover because that's everywhere.
yeah."
It's like, oh, I've seen this album cover my entire life, but I've never actually heard any songs. And it's just like, okay, cool.
I
So
don't
he
know.
reacted to that, and then
I
he
don't like
did.
the guy already.
Well,
You
I
don't
like the
like him
fact.
because he's starting to get into music that you like?
No, I don't believe it. It's just disingenuous.
I mean, I watched videos like that too.
Of what?
I really like watching videos of like you'll get like classically trained like opera singers listening to metal music for the first time,
Well, that I believe.
but you can't believe that someone may not have heard of listened to Pink Floyd.
Comfortably numb. I don't know.
Well, did you ever hear of a little band called the Beatles? Yeah, he finally listened to some of that, and he's just like, oh. And then he's like, there was one video like, so the Beatles invented heavy metal, and he went to listen to Helter Skelter, and I'm like, how have you never heard these songs before? But he did a
I
whole,
do believe the Helter Skelter part. Everyone knows the name, but how many people know that song?
yeah, but
I feel like
oh,
I've only discovered that song in the last decade, but I always knew the whole Manson reference and everything.
what else did he did? He did The Wall, Pink Floyd, The Wall, all the way through, because he did listen to Comfortably Numb, and then he was like, I don't understand the context of this exactly. Like, this is just a strange song for a single. So he listened to the whole Wall all the way through, and he was just like, oh, and like even then, this was the test. I was like, okay, how's he going to react to another Brick in the Wall Part 2, like Pink Floyd's probably biggest hit commercially? It comes on, he was just like, oh, okay, this is a new song, cool. And he was just like, no reaction, no recognition whatsoever. I'm like, how have you never heard that song before? It's
Are
crazy.
you sure this isn't that guy that was like trapped in his stepmom's house that we
It
covered on the
could
first
be.
episode?
It
He just
very well
started a
could
YouTube
be.
channel. It's like I put
I
on some
mean,
weight,
that's
got on
that's an
YouTube.
amazing idea.
Yeah.
Find that person and just get him to react to everything that he missed.
It'd be like
Now that I'm
Captain
not
America being
dying
unfrozen from the
anymore.
ice, right? But he did Hotel California, the whole album of
Oh,
that.
come on. He hasn't heard that song.
He says, I think I've heard this one. I think I've heard parts of this at least. And so he did kind of recognize a couple songs by the Eagles. He really loved that. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, I was like, I cannot believe he hasn't heard the hits off of that. But and then he's going on, he's
That
done.
whole album is a greatest hits album, but it's
Yeah,
not.
pretty much. Yeah. Beach Boys, he'd never heard any Beach Boys before. I was like, you
No
gotta
Pet
be kidding
Sounds,
me.
nothing.
Well, he just did a Pet Sounds review. And again, no recognition. I mean, really the only hit from that I really remember myself was "Wouldn't It Be Nice." But
Sloop John
and
B.
I really haven't. Well, yeah, Sleep John B. But
God Only
I
Knows
mean,
is a banger.
but I think I've only listened to Pet Sounds for the first time within the last couple of years myself because I was like, I should probably listen to that. People say it's the greatest album ever. So,
That and
what else did he
Sergeant
do?
Pepper.
Yeah, he hasn't really gotten the Beatles too much, but he did Rush Moving Pictures, which the first half of that is basically a greatest hits. Second half, not so much. It was just
I don't know.
crazy.
I love Witch Hunt from the second side.
Yeah.
Camera
Did he do,
Eye, Vital Signs.
but it's like I didn't come on here to shit all over the guy because I actually love, I'm kind of like Grandma. It's
Well,
like I
that's why
love
I'm
just the
here.
fact that he's going back and he's like, I don't know this. I want to learn this stuff. And he's loving it. And it's kind of fun to watch along and listen along too, because it's like I haven't heard that album about all the way through in about 10 years because I'm usually just hitting random on my freaking music. But so it's kind of cool just to get a really fresh perspective on stuff because he's never heard any of this, has no background in it at all. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's fun listening to like whole albums because Jen and I have a pretty decent vinyl collection, and
Oh
like
yeah,
you just hear songs you forget about or like
yeah,
never ever hear.
yeah. Because half the time, if it comes up on my random, I'm just like, deep cut. I'm not in the mood for it today. Skip. But if you listen to the whole album, it's like, oh, this is cool.
I mean, I know the cliche. It sounds better. It's on vinyl, but it is night and day if you if you
Well, if you
actually
have a good
listen to
hi-fi
it.
system, yeah. Because if you're listening on vinyl, you're probably not listening through, little earbuds or whatever. And he goes into that a lot too. He's like a big audiophile, probably because his dad, used to do setups on those. So he's like, I always grew up with these great systems, but I just never heard this music before. So anyway, go check him out. Like I said, his name's Isaac Brown. He's got 112,000 subscribers, so he's building up his
Oh, he's a
channel
little bit bigger than us. That's good.
a little bit. Yeah.
Is he paying for your ad right there?
No, but he probably should be. Yeah, I'm gonna have to contact him. He does have a lot of sponsors. He seems like a really cool guy. It's like he just the way he conducts himself, and he's some of the ads he's done and stuff. It's like I think he's actually a pilot. He's got one of those like little one-seater tiny planes he flies around in.
He's gonna crash it
Right,
like John
Tennessee.
Denver.
Anyway,
Isn't that how he went down? John Denver wasn't he in like some
yep,
experimental one seat plane? Wait till he
I'm
discovers fame.
excited to check it out.
it's fun. If you don't like the guy, there's probably a billion other people out there doing the same kind of videos. I see a lot of people that are like the first time they're reacting to Metallica and stuff, and I'm like, that's hilarious.
I mean, if you were like 16, maybe I'd believe it, but I don't know.
That's what's so fascinating because I'm always like, there is no way he has never heard this song, and then it comes on, just blank stare, like no recognition whatsoever. I'm like, this guy is either lived in a closet his whole life, or well, not. He was very sheltered, or he's the best actor in the world because there's no way you can just like not recognize these songs. And
It's like I'm listening to this jam. It's called Happy Birthday. I've never fucking heard it before.
yeah, well, that's another thing he's doing too. Is he's going through year by year, starting in 1965, and listening to the top 5 hits from those years. And it's just like, how have you never heard this song? Like Wooly Bully, Rolling Stones. I can't get no satisfaction. I listened to Mamas and Papas, California Dreamin'. No recognition on that at all. I'm like, how have you never heard
That's in
California Dreamin'?
well, like I said, he must not watch TV either because you would know
Yeah.
that from
Well, that
every
was certain
fucking
songs
show
like
that's been on the West Coast has an
I think
episode where
I think that's how it was on one of the Fleetwood Mac songs. It's like I think this has been in a movie before. I'm just like, oh my
that was
lord.
in Guardians of the Galaxy too.
So anyway, that's what I've been doing. Watching a lot of media.
What
Really
have
out
you
of
been
the
up to,
purchase.
Kyle?
Nothing much in the last week. I did buy made a strange purchase on eBay. I bought a sliver of windowsill from the Amityville horror house.
Like the actual house?
The actual house. So in the 80s, I guess they replaced all the windows and someone saved two of the window panes and sold it to this company that authenticates whatever, and they chopped it up and are now selling it in little framed, numbered, hand numbered certificate of authentication. So I saw
So
that. I had to
do
have
they
it
know what
instantly.
Windows is? It the iconic like kind of half
No,
circle or
it's not.
square circle ones?
It's literally like, oh, it's from the third story landing window,
Oh, so
Okay.
it's not one of the
which I
bedrooms
instantly knew where that was, which
where
is the
people
sad
got
thing.
murdered?
What's that?
It's not from one of the bedrooms where people got murdered?
No, it's from the hallway.
But
It
it's from
would
the
have been more
actual
than
house.
$35 at that point.
I mean, $35 for a piece of haunted wood sounds like a steal.
My
Sliver. I
wood's
don't even
haunted.
know if you count it as a piece. Hopefully by next episode I'll have it so I can show
Oh,
you
you don't
guys.
have it yet?
What's that?
You don't have it yet?
No, not yet. Sorry.
Ooh.
We should have waited to next week.
Well, it's probably cursed, and we'll probably never see you again. So it's probably good you don't have it
Yeah, we
before
got to
we're
get this.
recording.
We got to get to talking about it now. So if you go missing,
Don't
the
fucking
world
say
will
that.
know.
Jen's already like, we might have to like put sage next to it or put it in a ring of salt. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even putting that in the room where I sleep.
Gonna sleep with it under your pillow,
I might have to throw it out.
right next to your axe and your
If
shotgun.
anything slightly weird happens, it's gone.
I mean, what sort of? Besides, all I really know is that that's a house where like what 6 people were murdered.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell the story, but real quick, what do you guys? Let's go with Scott first because he's an older dude and probably remembers at least when that happened or around when it got big in the late 70s. Because
Um,
the movie's from 79, that happened in
yeah.
75, and I think it got big in like 76. So
So I was alive. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I think we talked about this before, but one of the weird, strange coincidences that we had is for some reason I brought up, or you mentioned Amityville Horror, or I mentioned it. I can't remember which, because that was the first horror book I ever read in my life. And I was like 9 or 10, and my mom should probably be in jail for letting me read that.
yeah, I would think so. I read that when I was like 20 and was terrified.
So when I was thinking, I saw the movie came out in 1979. So it's like I must have read the book after the movie came out because I know my mom had it. She was big into horror, at least a lot of Stephen King. She had a ton of his books, and for some, I think it was probably the movie hype that got me interested in it because it was kind of a big thing for a while, right around then, late 70s, early 80s. And so she had the book, so I asked her if I could read it, and she's like, "Well, yeah, I guess if you really want to." And I'm trying to think how old I would have been. I wouldn't have been any older than 12 because that's when we moved out of the house where I know where I read it. So I think I was about 9 or 10, which is weird because my youngest kid just turned 10, and I'm like, he reads Dogman, you know?
Dude, you should give him that book.
I'm like, he's not reading Amityville. He's not reading full length novels. That was one of the probably the first full length novel I ever read too. We always had those
I
Reader's
mean,
Digest condensed
the
versions.
book's not that deep, so I mean, a kid
No,
could
it's not,
understand it.
but it did freak me out. So it definitely left an impression. I remember seeing the movie sometime in the 80s when it came out on HBO. But then when you mentioned that you bought this sliver, I just went ahead and watched the movie again earlier today. So it's pretty fresh in my mind.
Yeah, and then we decided randomly, let's just do an episode about it, talking about the Amityville horror, something I'm super interested in.
Yeah, I thought it was
Graham,
weird.
what are
It's
your
just like,
thoughts? What did you know about it before the last couple of days when it got brought up?
I mean, I knew that there had been murders that took place in the house and that it was supposedly haunted, but I didn't know that like all of the movies and stuff were at least loosely based on a true story. So like I watched through the original movie last night and without knowing that it was based on a true story, I get to the ending and everyone's safe and I'm like, for a movie, it's kind of lame as an ending for everyone to survive the movie. But then I
even
found
the
out
dog.
after that it was based on a true story and I'm
Wait,
like, okay, that makes
so
me feel a little better.
you knew the murders were real, but you didn't know the haunting part was allegedly real too? You just thought they made a movie after the fact?
I mean, I had heard that the house is supposedly haunted. I didn't know that the movie was like based on someone's actual experience at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny watching through that movie again. I did not remember the whole plot line with the priests. I remembered he showed up at the beginning and the flies attacked him and the voice was like, and for some reason I blocked out the rest of the plot of that movie as far as the priest was involved. I was just like, oh, okay. And I think I actually remember bits and pieces when I was watching it, and I was like, I must have seen this again at a later date or something because I remember these scenes but did not connect them to the Amityville horror movie.
Yeah,
What
the
else?
movie's highly exaggerated, especially a lot with
Oh
the
yeah.
priest and whatnot. But we'll get into that. But do you think the movie still holds up or
Surprisingly, I didn't think it was bad. I was afraid it was just going to be a real stinker. And watching it again, just like I said, it's fresh in my mind. I thought it holds up pretty well. I
definitely
was like,
still
oh,
creepy?
yeah, it was still creepy because I was waiting for Jody the Pig's eyes to pop up in
Oh,
the
I fucking
window.
hate that scene.
And it's like, because that traumatized me when I was younger.
Well, yeah,
I
imagine
mean,
watching that in '79, like when that was, okay, special effects.
yeah, well, I mean, it was like I said, I watched the movie after the book, so I kind of knew it was coming. And in the book, Jody the Pig scared the shit out of me, and like that was the thing that gave me nightmares more than anything. So
Well,
then
in the
when it,
movie, you kind of see Jody in the window. Remember, like at the very
yeah,
end when he's walking
I
up, you
didn't
see
remember that
like,
scene at all.
yeah,
I
it's
was like,
literally like just like they had a photo of a pig and they just
uh huh. It's like it
superimposed
looks
it.
like it's just kind of produced from like a big screen TV or something. Uh,
I
but
mean, that was
yeah,
still a big budget movie, though. That was like the best you could do.
well, yeah, on the cast, I was just like, oh, like Margot Kidder, she would have been fresh off of Superman.
It's a little nipple slip in there too for the fans.
Yeah. Um,
More
Josh
boobies.
Brolin, like, was that one of his first movies?
What's that? Josh
Or-
Brolin?
Yeah,
Uh, wait, not
because he
Josh
was super
Brolin.
No,
young.
That's
wasn't that James Brolin?
James
James
Brolin.
Brolin. James Brolin. Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know. I doubt it. I'm sure he was around earlier than
Okay,
that.
I think I'm confusing Josh and James. That's my dude. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this is
Graham, what was your reaction to the Jody scene
I,
when Kathy goes over and Jody just went out the window and she goes to
better
shut
close
it.
it then.
I mean, it was definitely creepy. I won't lie. I was watching it kind of half paying attention.
You son of a bitch.
The thing I liked about it is the way things just kind of kept building and building and building and building. So it's like one little thing would happen, okay, nothing big, you know. Next little thing happens, nothing big. Next thing happens, okay, nuns are getting sick, whatever, blah blah. You know, it's like, oh, the house is clearly evil. By the end of the freaking movie, the walls are bleeding. It's like stairs are crashing in, doors are getting blown out.
Yeah,
It's like, wow,
raging storm outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
All that was bullshit.
oh yeah, but well, you're the expert. Clue us in, Mr. Expert.
Mr.
What's your
Expert.
attachment to this movie and history with it?
Um, I know I saw the movie first. I'm gonna say it was probably around 2000. I saw it and I was always into that shit, and I was like, how have I never seen this? Or like I knew the name Amityville Horror, but I was like, how did I miss this? So around that time, I had to go on eBay to get the book because it had been out of print for years, and
Really?
I probably spent $60, and this is in 2000, on like a hardcover, like first edition, and read it, and it fucking terrorized me, and it especially scared my younger sister. I
Oh, she
had
read
to
it too.
like I don't know, you're probably not gonna remember, this is years ago, but it had the names of like demons that George Lutz is reading aloud. My sister made me go in the book and cross them out because that's how scared she was. But yeah, watched a bunch of documentaries, and just anytime, literally every 2 years or around Halloween, a new fucking documentary comes out, and I watch it. And I've read multiple books. Yeah, it's weird how
Well, the
involved I
thing you
am in
sent
it.
us earlier, which I was cracking up at, I knew Amityville 2 was there, and then I think Amityville 3D, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Beyond that, I didn't know there were so many terrible spin-offs of this movie.
Well, like the first 10 were actual like studio movies with budgets, and then
Okay.
Graham, you want to name a few? You were going
Oh, I went
through
through
the list.
a Tubi rabbit hole looking at these movies because I'm pretty sure that Amityville, like as a property, is fair use. So I
Oh yeah,
think
we could make a movie right now.
all of these like cheapo production companies who are trying to, make a buck off their movie just throw Amityville in the title and have
You just can't say horror though.
so some
Oh, is
of
that what it
them,
is?
let's see, Amityville Christmas Vacation, Amityville Backpack, which looks like a movie about a haunted backpack.
I watched the trailer. It 100% is.
Dora,
Oh,
Dora,
okay.
Dora, the Explorer.
Amityville in Space, Amityville Bigfoot, Amityville Karen, which looks like a white woman with a short hair who is possessed by a demon. And my personal favorite, Amityville Death Toilet.
I'm pretty sure we all watched the trailer for that one. Didn't the
Yes,
Oh,
guy's
yes, we did.
it's
dick get cut
one of the
off or
worst
something?
things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was telling you guys, it literally looks like if we filmed a movie on an iPhone in my condo.
I think we might be able to do better.
We could.
The foil wrap knife or the fake foil knife was the chef's kiss.
I don't understand because there was a real cleaver, so why did you
Yeah.
have the foil wrapped knives?
Don't
Because I
know.
won't lie, I chuckled when the cleaver came out of the back of the toilet seat.
Uh-huh.
Like that made me chuckle, and then everything else is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
We can make Amityville podcast.
It
like three
seems like all
podcasts.
you need to do is
Yeah, we
have
just get
Amityville,
possessed and do like found footage. Just record the Zoom and
and you
Yeah.
need the Windows,
Yep.
and you can sell whatever you need to Tubi.
Well,
yeah,
Kyle
just
has
make
a
it
window
happen.
now, or he will.
All right, should we start with the best I can tell it. I'll try to keep it brief, but hopefully you guys
Sure.
have plenty of questions along the way, so it's not just me ranting about
Yeah,
something that happened
I have
50
some
years ago.
questions,
Go
but I'm
for it.
also ready to cozy up for Kyle's story time.
All right. So, 1974, Amityville, New York, Long Island. The DeFeo family. So, Ronnie DeFeo was the father, his wife Louise, son Butch DeFeo, the killer, sister Dawn, Allison, John, and Mark. I'm surprised I got those all in the same shot. So, Italian American family, kind of affluent community. They were technically associated with the mob through the father. He was related to Peter DeFeo, who was part of the Colombo crime family. But Butch DeFeo was basically just a piece of shit, burnout teenage son, dropout, couldn't hold a job, just overall dickhead. But the family in the house, it was just abusive. Dad beat on the wife, beat on Butch, beat on the kids. Just dysfunctional family all around.
They just wouldn't listen.
Just wouldn't listen. Yeah, so Butch worked with his dad at a car dealership, but it was basically he just had a gopher job. He basically showed up to work, collected a paycheck, slept in the back office. At the same time, his father was giving him an allowance of $400 a week on top of that. Now imagine $400 in 1974 when you're 23 years old.
Huh.
I
And his
don't even
dad
think
gave
I
him a
made
car.
$400 when I was 23 years old.
40 years later.
Yeah, 1979. That's a lot. I mean, like in the house, they made it a point that gigantic ass house was $80,000.
Yeah.
And it was
I mean, the,
worth
hou- the
probably
house is
120,000.
the house is big, but it's not really that big when you see it. But I mean, we'll get into it. But the fact that with the basement, the 3 stories, and anyway, so
But
Butch
anyway,
was
yeah,
a
$400 in 1979. That's a lot of money.
so Butch was a also they said a chippy drug user, which just means you do heroin on the weekend. I guess I'm assuming that's what that means. One night in November, he gets the idea to kill his family. Still, no one really knows why. He changed the story over the years, but he took a shotgun, went into his parents' room, shot his father 2 times, his mother 2 times, went into his sister's room, Allison, the youngest, I think she was 8, shot her, went into his 2 brothers' rooms, Mark and John, shot them both, went upstairs, shot his sister Dawn. Now the weird thing was everyone was sleeping on their stomach. I mean, weird coincidence, sure, but they made a point to like bring that up that all 6 victims were on their stomachs.
That is
Also, nobody in the neighborhood heard any gunshots that night. And it happened at 3:15, by the way. That's a detail that comes in later. Do you know what's important about 3 o'clock? Or what it's supposed to be called? It's called the Devil's Hour.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess
Is that why
Jesus-
all those YouTube videos are going around a couple years ago? Or I was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, like during COVID. Do this at 3 a.m. Blah blah. Don't do this at 3 a.m. Don't do this. It's like, all
Probably
this crap
because
is-
the thinking behind that is they think Jesus was killed at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So the
so-
exact opposite would be 3, for Satan. So
Gotcha.
allegedly it happened around 3:15 at night. Nobody in the neighborhood hears it. Weird. Next morning, Butch goes to work, and he makes it a point at the dealership to be like, has anyone seen my dad? Has anyone heard anything? Like, I haven't heard all day. Does his shift, goes home, finds the dead bodies. He runs down the street, drives down the street to Henry's Bar, which is a couple blocks away, runs in and tells everyone, I just ran into my house and all my family's dead. So everyone packs into Butch's car, drives to his house. He waits in the car and his 2 buddies go in, check it out. Of course, they find all the dead bodies and call the police. So the police show up and put Butch in protective custody because Butch says that it was a mob hit, or he thinks
Right.
it was because his family's connected. So
Yeah,
like we gotta protect him. Someone's gonna try to kill him. They're just wiped out the family. So that happens. He spends the night in the police station, and then the next day they really start questioning him. And he actually threw some mob associate under the boss, like a real mobster, and said, I think it might be this guy. Don't remember his name. And he's like, no fucking way. Here's my alibi. It checked. So Butch wasn't a very smart dude, so a couple hours of interviews, he admits to it. Initially, he says the devil made him do it, that he was like watching TV and he was shooting dope, and that a shadowy figure came to him and handed him his shotgun and told him to kill his family. So everyone knew that was BS.
Wait, the devil's handing out shotguns now?
Yeah, the demon. So he goes to court, obviously. I think it lasted about a month, the trial. He tried the insanity plea. It didn't work. Everyone's like, no, he's a fucking scumbag. He did it. And he gets sent away for life in prison. So that's that part of the story, the murder part, and that is all true.
So whatever happened to him? Is he still alive?
He died in 2023. Last 5 years, I think.
Because he was, how old was he at the time? He was like
23 in 1974.
Okay.
What does that mean?
So
Was he
I think my biggest question out of just this original story is, so they say that, you know, there's a demonic presence at the house. Is there any evidence of that before they move in, or does that all spring from him saying that the devil made him do it? Like, I know that there's stuff about like Indian burial grounds and stuff, but was that ever like a rumor before that family moved into the house, or?
Well, they had been there 10 years, so it wasn't like they were there for a short time. But one of the only things that was said is that their father, Ronnie Sr., claimed he had a devil on his back. That's, you know, an open phrase. Like, who knows what he meant by that? But allegedly, a month before the murders happened, he had gone up to Quebec and met some priest and had these religious statues made. Came back and put them in the front yard. That's like the only claim that anything was wrong with the house. But they were a super Catholic Italian family, so it's not really that weird that they had a Virgin Mary and little praying children and statuary and whatnot.
Okay, but most of the like demonic stuff was post murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the people that knew them and hung out said, you know, nothing weird ever went on in the house that they know of.
Okay. That was a big question that I had, whether that had already been established before the murders.
Okay, fast forward almost exactly a year later. So George and Kathy Lutz, they had just gotten married. Kathy had 3 kids from a previous marriage. George adopted them, and they took his name, and they decided they had to move from Deer Park on Long Island to a bigger house, and they had looked at 50 other houses, and nothing was in their price range. It wasn't big enough, all these things. Finally, they see the house on 112 Ocean Avenue, the former DeFeo house. The house is basically beautiful. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Well, it was kind of ugly back then, but 3 stories, full basement, in-ground pool, boathouse, garage, like everything. Pretty good size. They're like, well, it's great, but we're never going to be able to afford it. And the realtor basically said what the price was. It was $80,000. Even in '74, that was like a joke. They're like, what do you mean? How? This should at least be $125,000, like minimum. What's going on? So the realtor's like, well, I have to be honest. Do you know about the DeFeo murders? And they were like, oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that. And they're like, this is that house that happened a year ago. So they're like, oh, shit. Well, you know, we can't really pass up this deal, but we're going to ask our 3 kids first. So Kathy went to the kids and said, something bad happened here. Basically laid it out, but, you know, would you guys be okay moving in? And I guess the kids were pretty cool with it, you know, especially when you see a house like that moving from a tiny, you know, place.
Oh, I mean, how old are the kids? Like, if I was 10, 12 years old, I think it would be...
So the daughter, Missy, was 5, Chris was 7 or 8, and Danny was 10?
Like, I can imagine myself at 10, and if I moved into a house where murders took place, like, I would think that was the coolest thing ever, and tell all my friends.
Well,
wow, you're a weird kid.
Long Island, they probably all knew anyway.
I would have been, nope, don't want to do it, nope.
So they decided, you know, it's a great deal, and the realtor dropped the fact that for an extra $400, they could have basically all the furniture in the house, including, it was like 2 washers, 2 dryers, brand new freezer, all the appliances, most of the furniture. Basically anything that wasn't, you know, like a picture on the wall or something personal to the DeFeo family. So they're like, hell yeah.
See, that one's weird to me.
Yeah, so the beds they were shot in were included in the purchase.
No way.
That one's 100%. Too far for me.
Ooh.
Like, I personally, I think a year is too soon to move into a murder house. Like, I'm currently house hunting, and I can say that it is rough out there, even now. But like a year after 6 people were murdered and you're going to include the furniture? Like, that's just.
But still, that would be like the deal of the fucking century.
Yeah, but just look at the inflation calculator, and it said $80,000 in 1979 is like 353,000 in 2025, which still that house would be way underpriced even at 353.
Yeah, like I said, it's literally on the water with a boathouse.
Oh, yeah, we looked at like
Oh, nowadays
a
forget it, you get a
2-bedroom
closet.
condo earlier today that was like 370.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably like my place if I owned it. It's ridiculous.
So yeah, that is a crazy deal. But the furniture is too much for me.
So
yeah. The beds is kind of a bridge too far there. Like, can you take the beds out at least? You gonna include the shotgun too?
funny you say that. So anyway, Kathy, the mom, actually went inside, and this is the part I can't believe,
Uh-oh.
is that she was cleaning blood off the walls and the headboards. Like, it wasn't even prepped. I guess they didn't have
Yeah.
crime scene cleaners back then.
That doesn't sound right.
All right, so they buy the house, they move in, moving day. So they were a Catholic family, and as I guess Catholics do, I've never heard this, but they had their local priest, Father Ray, come over to bless the house. So he gets there, he's blessing the downstairs. He goes upstairs to what is known as the sewing room, and that's the room that John and Mark, the two sons, had been killed in. So he's blessing everything. He goes in there, he's still in the holy water, saying prayers, and he hears a voice say, and obviously that freaks him out. He finishes up super quick, like gets out of there, and Kathy's like, "Father, why are you running out of here? Do you want to have lunch? Stick around." He's like, "No, I have to leave, but I just gotta let you know, don't let anyone sleep in that bedroom, the sewing room. Just make sure none of your kids pick that as the bedroom. No one should be sleeping in there." So that's pretty fucking sketchy.
Yeah, that's a bit of a red flag.
So almost instantly, weird shit starts happening around the house. In that sewing room, flies appear, and this is late November. Hundreds of flies swarming the windowsill, and they would kill them, and they would keep coming back. Also, I mean, there's so many things for me to remember. The toilet bowl, the inside turned black, like it was painted black paint. Like, if you remember in the movie, they flush it, and it looks like oil comes down. That never happened, but it looked like someone had painted the inside of the toilet.
Wait,
George,
would you say that it was an Amityville death toilet?
yeah, they were setting up for that 50 years later.
I'm glad that they took at least some inspiration.
Yeah,
I mean, I've painted the toilet a couple times after a couple bad Taco Bell nights, but
yeah, it's called spackling the toilet.
nothing
So
like
they
that.
all had mood changes. They never wanted to really leave the house. George became a real dick. He also could never get warm. He was constantly, his obsession was feeding the fire, like always raging inferno, sitting in front of the fire, putting more wood in, but he never could warm up. Let's see, Kathy would smell this weird, like, sweet perfume go through the house and feel like a presence caressing her and hugging her from behind. Now that would freak me the fuck out. George had a lion statue. It's probably the size of like a dog. It was like a pouncing lion, and whenever you didn't look, occasionally it would move. Like you would never see it move, but you'd come back to the room and it would be in a kind of a different spot. And at one point, they threw it away outside. The next day, it's in the fucking sewing room. Let's see. So one day, Kathy's in the basement in this closet under the stairs, and she moves a shelf, and there's like kind of not a fake door, but kind of a swinging door. So she pushes that open, and there's basically a small, I don't know, it's like a plumbing access, like a little closet, painted red, the famous red room as you see in the movie, but it looked nothing like that. But I guess it smelled like human excrement, and there was like a mist coming out of it at some points, but not like at all times. And the dog that they had, Harry, was terrified of it and wouldn't go near the room. Now that wigged me out when I read that. Also, their dog Harry would just be upset in the house, be barking at everything, just like freaking out. And if they'd tie it up outside, it would be looking at the house, like barking all night. George kept waking up at 3:15 in the morning every night, and of course, that's when the murders happened. And he had an obsession about the boathouse and making sure it was locked, but he didn't know why. He would just go out there to constantly check it, and sometimes he'd see the door swinging open, and another obsession that the house caused. The daughter Missy would talk about her friend Jody, and when they asked, well, Missy had come to them and said, do angels talk?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Hmm.
He had mentioned her friend Jody, who was basically a pig with red eyes that could be tiny, but also as big as the house at any moment, could change sizes, could be outside the window, be gigantic, or be the size of like a piglet walking around on the ground. And a couple times they walked in the room and she'd be singing and playing with Jody, and the rocking chair would be going back and forth with nobody in it.
So is this all this? Just to be clear, is this all the stuff that the actual family is saying? Is what happened?
This is all from the book.
Okay, okay.
This isn't movie stuff.
I was gonna say like a lot of this is like this the book, right?
Yeah.
Or I wasn't sure
100%
because
book.
I was looking on YouTube and there was a show where they had like on NBC Today or whatever the two family members were there, the mom and the dad, and they were
George and
talking about the
Kathy.
movie, I guess. Yeah. So I was like, is this what they said directly happened, or is this just the additional stuff that was embellished for the book?
Yeah, this is all book stuff I'm talking.
Okay, cool. All right,
So,
moving on.
So I just had a question that may or may not be related, and not trying to make light of anything that they say happened. But how prevalent were carbon monoxide detectors in the 70s?
Scott would have to
Like,
look that up.
I
I
don't think
thought
they
that was
even
a thing.
existed.
Like as a serious question.
Well, you
Like,
know what we can do? When I get that sample in, that piece of window, we can check for lead paint. Maybe the kids were eating it.
because I know that some of the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning is like rapid mood swings, memory loss, things like that. So I'm just trying to think of like logical
Well, it
reasons
could.
for that.
Well, I guess all the burning all the wood and whatnot. If it wasn't a clean chimney, that could be possible.
The first battery-operated carbon monoxide alarm for home use was developed by First Alert in 1993.
Oh, there we go. Maybe that's the
Okay.
problem. It wasn't haunted. They were just being poisoned slowly.
I mean, they still very could have been haunted, but I'm just, my logical brain needs something.
So another weird thing, Kathy would say that she would hear Missy in her room singing, a lullaby or whatever song a kid would sing. She would walk out of the room and stop as she came out of the room at the door frame, stop that song, walk down the hallway, go in the sewing room, move some stuff around, and then come back. And once she entered the room, start exactly where she left off on the song. That's
Wow.
fucking weird.
One thing when you're going through this that popped in my head, did they ever say what the connection was with the boathouse? Because I remember the boathouse being big in the book, but again, it was like over 40 years since I read the damn thing.
They never say. It was just he had an obsession with checking the boathouse.
Just was obsessed
At
with going out there.
3:15,
Okay.
he'd get up and go
Yeah.
check the locks, and occasionally the door would be open, but outside of that, nothing really happened. On the third story, the keyhole like locks on the door. A green slime slowly started like pouring out of it, and that was kind of weird. None of the blood shit from the movies ever happened, but it definitely had green slime coming out of the locks. And they basically blamed the kids and hit them for it, thinking it was paint. So they were there 28 days total. It kept building and building, getting worse and worse. The final night they were there, there's conflicting reports because George has never fully said what happened that night because it's like too upsetting. Like he never truly said what happened, but I guess there was like a raging storm outside, but only they could feel the storm. It was actually completely calm because, of course, all the debunkers looked back on that certain day and were like, "Well,
Yeah.
it was sunny and clear." But to them, it was like a raging storm. The house is shaking. Like they're hearing screaming, fucking knocking in the walls, all this stuff. Their dog Harry, basically, they had to tie him up because he's freaking out. And the dog's going in circles, puking. They go to bed. All this is still happening, and George is basically paralyzed. He can't move. Kathy starts levitating.
Oh boy.
Luckily, he can grab onto her. She's like 2 to 3 inches off the bed, starting to float away. He grabs her. At the same time, he can like see through the ceiling into the third story. Like, don't know how that happens, but there's basically a shape in the bed, his son's bedroom, and the beds are fucking flying around, and they can't get out of bed either. He said it was
Right.
the worst night of his life. It was terrifying. That's like the basically the cliff notes of what happened. They didn't run out in the middle of the night in a storm. They basically packed up the next morning and was like, "Fuck it, gotta go." Yeah, so no dripping blood, and that's the basic version of that story. I could go on for hours, but yeah,
But yeah, that was one of the things watching the movie again that I forgot from the movie and the book was how what a short time span this all occurred in. Because I
28
was thinking,
days.
yeah, I was thinking it was like they'd been there a few months and then things were spread out more than they were. It was like no, they give the movies like day 6, day 7, day 8. It's like whoa. So yeah, I at the one point Karen's like, let's go. Let's just leave everything. Let's go. And he's like, no. And she's always trying to get in contact with priests and everything. And especially the night after they busted into the well, the dog's freaking out. Everybody's like, they hear the voice of Satan coming out through the one like medium kind of chick or whatever. It's just like, and then it's just like cuts the next day, Saturday. You're like, what?
Because you wouldn't be out instantly if that
Yeah,
happened. Like I
we
don't
found
care
a
how much money I
secret
have.
room. Yeah, we found a secret room that is supposedly a gateway to hell in our house, and all this
Didn't you see
crazy
his
shit's been
face in the
happening.
wall too, or something?
Yeah, he saw like his face in there, like, ooh, it's like, no. And then it's just like, oh, they all just went to bed and slept peacefully that night, I guess. Like, oh, okay. But yeah, that was kind of the stuff that was a little off.
Yeah. Graham, movie thoughts? I still have more to add, but
Um, so when I watched the movie, I was unaware that it was like loosely based on this true story. And I thought it was just like an original story about this house after the murders had taken place. Like I knew the murders were real, but I thought this was like a story that was like a creative liberty of what happened after. So looking back, had I known that it was based on a true story, I think my reaction to it would have been slightly different because I remember being like halfway through this movie and I'm like, this is a horror movie, and I feel like nothing truly bad has happened to anyone. Like no one's died, like nothing's happened. So I think I was being a little unfair now knowing that it's based on like the true story of this true
you thought it
family.
was going to end up with the family dead?
And I'm watching, and I thought that's what it was going for. Like this one family died, and then a new family moves in, and it drives the dad insane. And then in the end, he ends up killing them all.
Yeah, that was the funny part for me too, because I hadn't seen it or read the book in so long. I couldn't remember how it ended. I was like, yeah, I know he starts going crazy, but did he actually kill the family? And it's like, oh no, I'm just thinking of the original family that was murdered, but they actually did get out. Like,
Now knowing it is more of a relief that no one died in the movie.
I'm pretty sure in the book, as they're leaving, it says George looks up the steps on the what do you call it? The space between. Anyway, there's like a hooded figure pointing at him as they leave the house.
oh really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that was just added for the book because some shit's exaggerated or not.
I should go back and read that.
Yeah. But all the people that have moved in since there's been like 5 owners since then. They've reported nothing weird ever happening in the house. The next family that moved in, the Crow Martys, their son overdosed on heroin in Butch's original bedroom, the room with the windows, and that's where the
Yeah.
2 boys had slept as well. He overdosed, but didn't die in the house. And then in the 80s, the O'Neill family owned it, and later the son randomly died in 9/11 in the World Trade Center. So people were
Oh
like,
gee.
"Oh, it's because it's Amityville." Somehow they linked that in 9/11. Would you guys stay in that house if it was the three of us invited to record in there
I mean, for like a night, maybe.
overnight?
30, 40 years ago, hell no. Nowadays, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
What,
I
as a 10 year
definitely.
old, you didn't want to go?
No, as a 10-year-old, I did not want to go. As a 20-year-old, I did not want
I
to
don't
go.
want to go now. I would, though.
Like a year after these grisly murders with all the original furniture there, absolutely not. But
Good.
like with how many people have lived there now, like I could probably do an overnight.
I'd
There's no
still probably
way.
get in my head pretty good and freak myself out, but like I said, just from this has been with me pretty much my whole life. It's kind of in the back of my head here and there. So, I mean, like you said, it was a big thing. Like when the movie came out and stuff.
I mean, it's
I
still
remember.
big. Like, if you
Yeah,
look it up on the address on Google Maps, it's like blocked out and you can't even access that street.
you're kidding.
People still show up. Just look it up on YouTube, and it's people standing in front of the fucking house.
Yeah, I've
That's why
I've seen
no
on
one really lives there for long, and it still sells for cheap.
I've been scrolling through YouTube, looking at so many videos and so many like rip-off movies and stuff. It's crazy. It's like all of them are like exploring the actual house. Here's the house. Here's a drive-by on the house. Funny. Like, yeah, it would kind of suck to live there.
You can see pictures of the house like in the interior now, and it's like completely different.
Yeah.
But so when the Lutzes moved out, the the Warrens from the Conjuring films, I'm assuming you know who they are.
Yeah.
They investigated and basically said it was the worst haunted house they'd ever seen, and it was essentially the closest to hell that they've ever been.
When was that?
That was a few months after the actual haunting, and that's
Oh,
where
okay.
the famous picture of the ghost boy showed up.
Yeah. That
They
is
still
creepy
can't
too.
explain that one.
Yeah, the Ghost Boy. Talk about that a little bit because that I saw that video the other day and I was just like,
Yeah.
ooh, that's
So
creepy.
George never, the family never went back to the house, by the way. I think they had friends go grab, it was like a chest that George's grandfather had built for him. So they took that out in family pictures, but that was it. Everything was left behind. They left, like, with the van, their clothes, and later that stuff. They left the boat behind, his motorcycles, everything. A few months later, they had contacted the Warrens, and there was a bunch of other psychic investigators and a news crew, and they went in and did a seance, and most people say nothing actually happened. They set up a tripod on the second floor landing, and it took pictures, every couple minutes in infrared. And I guess they didn't notice it for a few months, but just going through, you see Missy's bedroom where Jody was. You
Yeah.
clearly see, anyone can look this up online, clearly see what looks to be a little boy with glowing eyes, like peering out. It also looks like the kid's wearing glasses, but everybody insists, even the people that say it's bullshit, nothing happened that night. I was there, like, the camera guys said there was no kid there. They can't explain it. And there was no Photoshop in
Weird.
74, so
No.
75.
Oh, that's funny. I'm like looking here on Google Maps, like you said, and it's not. It's just blurred out.
Yeah, and they changed the windows, the eye windows. They changed those to square ones so people couldn't find the house. And they changed the address from 112 to 108, but that doesn't help because people aren't stupid.
Where'd it go? Next time we're in the area, we should stop in.
But just to drive by and take a picture.
Yeah. We can be
And
those
the
idiots too.
town of Amityville is not happy about the situation. They
Oh, I'm
don't
sure
want to
they're
talk
not.
about it. They don't want people taking pictures. Like they don't like interviews.
They should just go full Roswell and just embrace it.
Yeah, like Salem witch trial. Like fucking merchandise it.
I mean, there's probably a big difference between aliens have been here and, hey, come to the famous murder house.
Plenty of famous murder houses around the U.S. This
Six
one's probably
murders.
the most famous.
Ugh.
So weird though to look at it from the aerial view. It's like, oh, there's the house, there's the boathouse, there's the little extra house they were talking about. Be the office. It's weird. Oh, I did see we were talking about things that I've been doing. I'm not really doing anything, but I for some reason got a wild hair up my ass and went to White Castle the other day. And I was sitting in the drive-thru and I look in the window and there's this big picture of Stan Lee. And I'm like, what is that? And it's like, he's like Stan Lee, Crave Ambassador or something like that. And he's like got his big Stan Lee smile going. He's like hugging like these three White Castle workers. I was just like, that is really strange. Like, I was like, I wonder what other celebrities they have around White Castles in the U.S. I just
Wait,
couldn't
he
find-
had visited that one? I'm confused.
no. I
It was
think
a
I think it's
promotion?
just, yeah, it's like a promotional thing. Apparently
He's
he
been
was
dead for years.
I know. But apparently he was a White Castle ambassador or something, got some celebrity endorsement, and he's got this giant poster in the local White Castle. I'm looking at it like, huh, Stan
Another
Lee.
undeserved credit for him.
Yeah. I'm at cameos at White Castle, true believer.
Me and Kirby
Terrible.
invented the slider.
So it was just, you ever see something like that, the most random things, the most strange places like that? I was just like, what? I'm just trying to get some terrible food.
Yeah, I was
There's-
disappointed by it when I had it in Jersey. It was so like hyped up for me, and I'm like, I prefer the frozen ones.
That's a glowing review right there.
There's a reason they call it the crave, because it's not the best, but sometimes you'll just be craving it, and it's not the only thing you want. It's weird.
Well, the
think
fucking
they put
fries
crackers or
suck.
something.
They're like crinkle cut fries you just get and throw in the oven.
You got to get the mozzarella sticks. The mozzarella sticks are the bomb.
How do we go from Amityville to this?
I don't know.
I have no idea. All right, gentlemen. So I've constructed a wheel for us of right now I think 19 different Amityville movies that are all
Oh boy.
available on Tubi for us
Which
to
is only
watch.
15% of the movie.
So, do we want to do one spin that we all watch, or do we each want to do a spin?
And then report back.
Wait, explain the rules again? No, just one spin and we
Just
all
do
watch
one.
that one.
All
Yeah,
right, let's just do one. All right, spinning the wheel right now.
and we're gonna do a commentary on it.
The movie is called Amityville Asylum.
Okay, that sounds promising.
Can we look that
Oh,
one up and get a little
I can
info?
assure you, I can assure you, it's not.
Is that one like made in the last few years?
Probably.
Amityville Asylum, huh? I assume it takes place in an asylum.
Maybe
Or
they turned
maybe the house gets
Amityville
turned into an
house
asylum.
into an asylum.
2013. Okay, here's the trailer.
So wait, so we're doing a commentary, like a live watch, or
Oh, I figured we could just watch it and
Report back.
I think we
Yeah.
should watch it live. Well,
Ha! That could be fun.
I mean, yeah, we could do that too.
yeah, it's not gonna be fun just to watch it and then shit on it for 5 seconds. Like we can at least get an hour and a half out of it.
Yep, that was bad.
All right, yeah, we can do it as like a bonus. Do as our watch along series.
Asylum.
I mean, the trailer doesn't look terrible.
What year is it from?
2013.
Maybe it's if like Butch had been committed for being crazy, and that would be the movie.
It looks like decent production values.
There was an Amityville movie a few years ago with what's that chick's name? Bella Thorne,
Oh my.
and it actually had a
Amityville
budget.
Spring Break.
Okay, cool. So we have our assignment, huh? Need to set that up. Oh, that was another. If you want to go into another strange coincidence, somehow me and Kyle's lives intersecting. You know how Ohio State's football coach went to your high school,
Yeah,
Ryan Day? Yeah.
yeah, and I went to junior high with his brother Timmy or whatever.
Right. Well, now the Ohio State basketball coach went to my high school. It's like, what is going on? I'm sure that's interesting only to people who are fans of Ohio State, but I was just like, that's really weird. It's like, why do all these weird things just keep popping up, like, with us? Are we like long lost siblings or something?
Do you think it's connected to the Amityville house? All right. Until next time, keep it pointless.
Keep it pointless.
Keep it pointless.
Get out!